Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt, joined now by United States Senator Tom Cotton. Senator, welcome, everybody. Healthy and Team Cotton.
Good morning to you. It's good to be on with you. Yep, everyone good here. Hope the same for you and all your listeners.
Thank you. I want to play for you the president at the Lincoln Memorial and then talk China with you. This is 2 nights ago, cut number 1.
What they really treated the world badly on, they stopped people going into China, but they didn't stop people going into the USA and all over the world. So you could fly out of Wuhan, where the primary problem was, all of the problem, essentially, also where the lab is. But you could fly out of Wuhan and you could go to different parts of the world, but you couldn't go to Beijing and you couldn't go to any place in China. So what's that all about? In other words, they knew they had a problem. I think they were embarrassed by the problem, very embarrassed. And, the case could be made. They said, hey, look, this is going to have a huge impact on China, and we might as well let the rest of the world, because...
You know, what he didn't say was suffered, Tom Cotton. What do you think he meant by that, Senator?
Hugh, I think what the president was getting at is what I've been pointing out now for several weeks. Whatever the origins of this virus, whether it originated at that lab through an accidental breach or it truly was some kind of direct animal-to-human transmission out in the wild, it is clear that the Chinese Communist Party knew how serious this virus was by mid or late December at the very latest. They knew it was highly contagious. They knew it was deadly. And they intentionally left international air travel open out of China. They pressured other countries not to impose travel restrictions. They pressured the WHO to oppose them because they did not want to see a relative decline in their own power versus the rest of the world, and especially the United States. If China was going to be crippled, they did not want the rest of the world to remain strong. I think that is obvious if you follow the timelines here and you use a little bit of common sense to follow the inherent logic of events.
It is clearly that what the president was saying is that they were going to spread the comparative disadvantage of having a virus-inflicted economy because they're communists and they don't care, Tom Cotton. That's what a lot of the media in the West seems to have forgotten. They actually do not care.
Yeah. So Hugh, for anyone who thinks that is too wicked to imagine, remember, as you say, these are communists, and the modern Chinese Communist Party is responsible for the deaths of 65 million of its own people. If you think for a moment that Xi Jinping would not be willing to inflict a pandemic on the world and be responsible for the deaths of a few 100,000 of foreigners to maintain his relative power in the world, you are naive.
Naive or purposefully blinded by TDS, to which I bring the American media now to put before you. There's a story in Politico that could have been manufactured in Beijing. All over the media, I see people parroting PRC, CCP talking points. Do you see this, Senator Cotton, and what do you say to those people?
So Hugh, I think you could put it in a bigger context than just the Chinese talking points, although it is true that you see in a lot of mainstream media outlets, essentially, whatever Donald Trump says or does, the opposite must be the party line. Now, since the president is criticizing China, since he continued to point out correctly that the virus started in China, then the party line in our media is this is an outrage, it's xenophobic, it's racist, we must oppose it. We must praise China, we must become even China apologists. You don't see it just with China, you see that across the board, that anything this president says or does, the opposite must be the party line for the media, but it's particularly appalling when you see our free media becoming apologists for and defenders of the Chinese communist regime in Beijing.
With millions of people interned because of their religious belief, it's wildly disconnected from reality, Senator. I don't even know how to capture how wildly disconnected American media has become from reality and from history. But I look at the Pulitzer board they were awarded yesterday, and I understand why. It's just populated at the very top through all the award giving and all the network deciding tree of the branch that they hate Trump. It's distorted all of American media.
Yeah, some of the Pulitzer Prizes yesterday were pretty amazing, to include the one that the New York Times won for their notorious and infamous 1619 project, which many historians, not conservative historians, have denounced, in which they had to run major corrections for. The Pulitzer board leans pretty far out there to the left. No, not mistaken, it's the same institution that gave Walter Duranty a Pulitzer Prize for his apologist reporting from Moscow for the Soviet Union.
Well, I'll tell you, if you go look at the board, Lee Bollinger's on it, president of Columbia University. He taught me media law at the University of Michigan years ago. I think he's the most conservative one on there. And he's a liberal, hard, classic liberal kind of guy, ACLU kind of guy. But I mean, it's just wildly to the left. And I think all of American media is just diseased by TDS, mainstream American media. Senator Tom Cotton, good to talk to you. The media matters. People are going to excerpt my conversation with Tom Cotton and beat us both up. We wear that as marks of honor. Because Emo is over there busily typing as we speak. We don't care. We know what the disease is. It's TDS, and it's everywhere in the American media. Coming right back with Molly Hem.